to show the virtue of maintaining your virginity is that the women in paradise will be virgins. If there was no virtue for virginity in Islam, then why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give women their virginity back when you enter into Jannah? There is no mention of giving the man back his virginity. The man gets to keep his experiences because that's the way he's going to satisfy his wife in paradise. But the woman in Jannah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala returns your virginity back to you. So this whole idea that men and virginity between men and women, that it has to be equal, it's not the same. Virginity for men represents chastity and, piety, that he maintains his chastity, but it doesn't represent experience and something that makes him desirable to women. It makes him less desirable. On an open market out in the world, a man comes and says, I'm a virgin, I'm pure, I've never been with a woman before. Women will laugh you out of the room. Will laugh you out of the room. That's a fact. No woman is going to say, oh, he's a virgin, I'm going to take him. I want him. No, it's going to be like, what? You're a virgin? Nah, I'm good. Next, pop the balloon, pop. Next, he comes out, he says, my name is Muhammad, or my name is Abdullah, I'm a virgin, I'm 25. Pop, the balloon pops immediately. Right, because he doesn't represent something that makes him desirable to women. Right, he sounds boring. Thank you. All I want is an honest conversation. That's all I want. I posted it on social media, and here we go. Oh, women. Well, what about the brothers and being virgins? It's like, wallahi, I've conducted sit-downs as an imam. I have been an imam or involved in helping people get married since around 2003. All right, this is over 20 years in my profession. And out of all of the sit-downs that I have ever conducted in my life, not one woman has ever sat across a table from a brother and asked me, Brother Imam, is he a virgin? Not one. Not one. But I can say about 70 to 80% of the sit-downs that I have ever conducted, I always get a question from the brother, is the sister a virgin? I don't know. I'll ask. I'll inquire. I don't know. Because it seems like that's only important to the men, not necessarily important to the women. The woman might ask, does he have any children? She's not concerned whether or not he's a virgin. Why? Because him being a virgin is no benefit for her. When you put the shoe on the other foot, the men are concerned whether or not she's a virgin or whether or not she's been married before. Why? Because they don't want to have to be in competition with another man. That's what virginity represents for men. A woman is desirable as a virgin. If you were to ask any man, there's a 25-year-old woman who's a virgin, never been married before, no children, never had sex before, and a woman who has 2 or 3 children or been married before, or she's not a virgin, who do you think the man is going to choose? Hands down, the virgin, every day. Every day, all day, hands down, he's going to go for the virgin. Not necessarily because she's a virgin and the sexual intimacy might be better. No, it's because I don't ever have to have in the back of my mind that I'm competing with another man. Most men that get with a woman that has been with a man before, in the back of his mind, even if he never asked the woman, am I better than your ex-husband? But it's in the back of his mind, guarantee you, 100%. That is a fact. If we want to have an honest conversation, let's have an honest conversation. The most secure man, because that's not a sign of insecurity. That's not a sign of insecurity, but every man wants to know that I have a place with you that no other man has with you. Well, these men are a different breed of men. When I'm talking about men, I'm talking about probably those who were born in like the 70s and early part of the 80s, millennials and Gen X. I'm not referring to the later millennials or Gen Z Jinn Alpha or any other jinn that come after that, man. This generation of men, we're talking about, they're wearing pocketbooks, purses, painting their fingernails. These are not men in my estimation. These are not men in my estimation. And there's a strong possibility that they haven't grown up with fathers in the home. Because there's no way in the world, as a father, I would allow my son to paint his nails. No way.
Even the guys that I grew up with, they didn't have fathers still wouldn't do that because they were in the hood, in the streets.
Right. We had to sneak and get our ears pierced. We had to sneak and do that. And if our father ever caught one of us, and most of us who did that, our fathers wasn't really around like that, or they didn't approve of it. I'm talking about like in the mid 80s where, you got your left ear pierced. It wasn't two ears. That didn't happen until 1999, 2000, when wearing 2 diamond earrings in your ear was cool. In the 80s, if you had 2 ears pierced, you were considered what? Gay. Men, boys, only got their left ear pierced. I still have my left ear pierced to this day. This was like 86, 87. You understand? I was like 10, 11 years old. And the hole is still there. 1 ear, that was it. If you had both of your ears pierced, you were considered, on the other side. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showing you the virtue of virginity, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a gift to the woman, being a gift to the husband, will restore the woman's virginity yawm al-qiyamah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Qur'an, "Inna ansha'nahunna insha'a faja'alnahunna abkara 'urban atraba li ashab al-yamin." Let me find the ayat quickly. I know some of you guys online had some questions or comments. If you did, please just go ahead and unmute your mic and talk, because I can't really see your comments. This is in Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Surah number 56, ayat 35. The surah right after Surah Ar-Rahman. Surah 56, ayat 35. Turn to that ayat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Inna ansha'nahunna insha'a." That when the women enter into paradise, we will make them of a new creation. فَجَعَلْنَاهُنَّ أَبْكَارًا, and we will make them virgins. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not talking to the men and women. He's talking to the women. Because the virginity of a woman has virtue. The only virtue of being a virgin for a man is that you preserved your chastity. You protected yourself from zina. But it doesn't make you more desirable to women. فَجَعَلْنَاهُنَّ أَبْكَارًا, and we will make them virgins. عُرْبًا أَتْرَابًا لِأَصْحَابِ الْيَمِينِ. Urban, meaning these women, they will have good characters with their husbands. Urub, meaning husnul khuluq, that when they talk to their husbands, they'll be soft. When they engage their husbands, they'll be compassionate, they'll be merciful. They won't raise their voice over a certain octave. All of the things that a man usually doesn't get in this life. He'll get it from his woman in the hereafter. Her adab, her mannerisms in Jannah will be completely different than her mannerisms in this life. Subhanallah. And it's sad that some men have to wait until that time in order to get, a good interaction with their spouse. Uruban atraban. Atraban meaning that they will be brought back down to the age of 33. 33 is a woman's prime. Why not 20 or 21, 22? Is that a woman's prime? Huh? Okay, so 21, 22, 23, that might be her prime in terms of her physical body, not her prime in terms of her mental and emotional state. 33, mark that date, you sisters in the back. 33, that's your peak of maturity. For a man is how old? 40. You see the difference? See, there's a 7-year gap between men and women. Even evidence from the Qur'an. Even from the Qur'an. That Allah will bring you back down to the age of 33. The scholars say the reason that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the reason why 33 is the age of peak maturity for a woman, peak maturity in terms of her emotional state and her mental state. Peak maturity. And if you think about it, most women are ready to settle down at 33. Right. 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 At 33, you ready to, if you don't have children already, you're ready to start on your family, ready to, start looking for someone that's, and the reason why your preference in men changes around that time is because you're no longer looking for the pretty guy, the player, that you're no longer looking for that because you know that does not represent longevity. That's short money. You looking for long term. So your preference in men starts to change. So the guy that you would have never looked at, you are now starting to consider. Maybe him. I know I never liked him before, but he's looking a little different now. Why? Because you know he's going to stay. He's going to stick around. You had the luxury of shuffling guys around in your 20s because you didn't want anything stable. You weren't looking for anything stable in many instances. You're just looking to have some fun. As you start to get older, you start to look around and realize he's not husband material. He's not long-term material. So you start to look at the guys that are long-term material and they look completely different than the men that you went for in your early 20s. Life plays a very, very cold, hard trick on women. Go ahead, Jade.